I know I was forgetting something. A microphone. I need a microphone for this to go any further. How you guys doing? Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. Hello to everybody. Great to see you all coming in and taking part of the festivities and fun. That is every episode of the Paranormal Portal, of course. So I hope you guys are doing great. Thank you all for being here. It's hump day, and that's good. And it's also my birthday eve, meaning like Christmas Eve is right before Christmas. Well, it's right before my birthday. So thank you to all of you who have given me birthday wishes already. I know that in Australia it's already my birthday, so I guess, you know, I'm hearing a lot from the Australians, and also since I started the show tonight, so many of you have said happy birthday. So thank you so much. It's just another lap around the sun, but as Naysay says, but you know, it's a milestone. I made it another one. That's good. You never know just how the journey goes or where it goes to. So yeah, I guess I made it another year, and you guys have been through it with me. So thank you so much for being a part of my world. That's the greatest gift I could ever hope for. I really appreciate it. Appreciate all the love and all the encouragement and support and your fantastic presence on every show. So good to see you all. Yeah, I'm just looking at all the names popping in. Good to see you guys. So we are off and running. It's Wednesday. It's hump day. And which is always good news, because if you work a Monday through Friday gig, that means you're almost there. You're almost to the good part, the weekend part. So you're a little over halfway, and that's always a good thing. So I hope the rest of your week goes well. Obviously, we don't do a show tomorrow, which is also my birthday, but I will be appearing on Bigfoot Michigan Rob's show tomorrow morning at 10. So if you want to hang out with us then, that'll be fine. That'll be fun. And we'll see what the hell we can get into over there on Rob's show. Am I thinking of something I wanted to say or not? I'm not sure. Just been kind of a whirlwind the last several weeks, of course, but you know, for no other reason than it's just my pace of life. But it just feels like it's been extraordinarily busy. Well, thank you, Kat. I appreciate that. Birthday wishes. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody who said happy birthday to me coming into the show tonight. That's really wonderful. Thank you, Big D, over there on Rumble saying happy birthday. I appreciate that. And Barbara's over there as well. So we got Barbara and the Big D over there in the Rumble land. And hello to any of you over on Twitch or on X or Facebook Live watching. I appreciate you guys being here. As always, it is wonderful. Happy birthday tomorrow. Mine's today. Well, happy birthday to you, too, Tattoo Alley. Congratulations on completing another journey around the sun yourself. And yeah, we did it. We did it. So that's always a mark of celebration. Oh, Barbara. Barbara says the doll. I don't know if you guys saw it. I put out a short on YouTube. I put out a reel on Facebook. I put out a video on Instagram as well as TikTok. But I picked up a new doll. And I'm not going to try to get her and hold her because she's really kind of floppy. She's a porcelain doll. She's an old porcelain doll. I don't know how old. Like, I'm not saying that she's like 1800s, but she's definitely seen some miles. I think she's had a haircut or two in her existence, because I don't think dolls usually come with you know, the short haircuts. I think it probably had long bobbing curls at one point, but I guess it's more realistic if it's cut short, because, you know, if it's a baby doll, babies aren't born with long hair, usually, anyway. So, yeah, she's this incredibly lifelike, I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of like there's an intensity to her gaze, and I don't know. I'm not claiming to be a psychic and like, ooh, I can feel the vibes. There's a presence there, but I definitely noticed it from across a room up on a wall over at the thrift store. I was like, what the hell? There's dolls up there. And it was the one doll in particular. And so I got to thinking, well, maybe it'd be kind of cool to have a doll here in the studio as a decoration. And I'll try to figure out how to work it into what's going on around us here. But as I looked, I was just like, God, I swear this thing's looking at me. It's just such an intense visage, and I was pretty blown away by it. So I got up to the checkout in this thrift store, and I'm like, do you guys, and it was way up high. You could barely reach it. It was way up on the wall and stuff. So not where you'd usually put things that are for sale. It looked like more of a decorative item. But I was like, do you guys sell those dolls like that up there on the wall? And she go, oh, yeah. It's an older lady that worked there. And it's a thrift store that's attached to an animal shelter. And we like to go out there because it helps support the animals. And, figure it's getting stuff for dirt cheap and you're supporting animals. What's not to love? So we always go out there. In fact, Pikachu is from that shelter. So, but yeah, she said, yeah, it's for sale. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. And, I walked over there and I had to gingerly get it down because, like I said, it's real floppy. It's all porcelain. The thing is actually quite heavy. And it's in like the arms, the legs, and the head are all porcelain, but so is the torso. It's not like one of those pillow body things. It's like the whole thing is porcelain. And so it's like a little brick. And so I got her down and I pulled her down. I'm like, well, I'm looking and I see there's a price tag on her leg and it says $27. But under that, at this thrift shelter, they do this colored tags, like different rainbow colors for these items. And every once in a while, they offer specials like, oh, this week it's the blue tags that are 50% off, and so they do this 50% off thing depending on the color of the tag. Well, I looked on her leg below the $27. There was a $10 green sticker. I looked over at the sign and it said that green stickers were 50% off. So I paid all of $5 for this old, heavy porcelain doll with the intense gaze. But the lady, when I handed it to her, I was like, well, I guess it's $5. She goes, what? And then she looked and she said, well, it's supposed to be 27, but why is this sticker on there? It was the green leg sticker. And she knows I didn't just sneak it on there. I mean, she saw me grab it down or whatever. She's like, that shouldn't be on there. That's not for these items. And I'm like, well, it's there. She goes, well, I'm not going to argue with the price. It's there and it's not your fault. So that's what I'll charge you. And I don't think I heard any ominous music other than the playlist of my life, but usually it sounds like cartoon music. But yeah, she said, that's really unusual. That shouldn't be there. So it's like she was meant to come home with me. And so she did. But once I got home, I decided, well, I'm going to do a little video and kind of introduce all of you. So if you want to see that, head over to TikTok or Instagram or my Facebook, Brent Thomas site, Reels, or look at YouTube's Shorts. It's there. And tell me what you think. I don't know. There's just something intense about this doll. I don't know if it's good or not. If it does have a presence, is it a good presence? Well, I don't know. I don't know how that works for sure, but time will tell. So far, she's been just quiet and peaceful, and so that's good. I haven't noticed any strangeness around the house yet, any more than normal anyway. So that's the doll, and definitely check it out. Hi, Dr. Kelly Schutz. Good to see you. Hello, Brent. I saw it, and I felt it go through me. No comments. I know, right? That gaze is just like... I looked at her as she was sitting here in the studio the first night I put her in here, and I'm just bopping around and looked over and I'm like, I'm fully expecting this thing to blink. It looks that real, like it's that lifelike. I'm just looking and waiting, like you'd expect to see the chest rise and fall. It really looks real. I don't know what it is, and I'm not the kind that goes, oh, all the baby dolls look real. Usually they look like dolls, but there's something about this doll. So it's sitting over there in the chair, and I don't know. I'll keep you guys posted if anything weird happens. She'll be in the garage before you know it, but I'll also hook up a camera and some EMF detection and cat balls and see what we get. It could just turn out to be an incredible research effort. If it's not here in the studio, it'll pay its rent by letting me investigate it, I guess, out in the garage. So we'll see. Hey, Unknown, good to see you. Owl 13 says, my doll is named Cerise. After that song by Ghost, she's all cute and gothic. Oh, that's cute. Yeah. I mean, I'm not like all opposed about, dolls and stuff. I know, like, there's several cultures that won't even let their dolls have faces because dolls, there's a strong school of history, a thought of history, that dolls were never invented as children's playthings. They were invented as vessels for spirits. And that's why the Amish don't allow faces on their dolls, because they think if it has a face, an evil spirit will enter it. So I don't know, what to think about all that. But there it is anyway. But good to see you all. My doll. Unknown's here. Good to see you. Henry Dong is here. Lake Diamond is here. From Germany. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in. Southern Belle Bigfoot is here. Good to see you. Rachel gets it right, of course. Our very own Rachel. And Werewolf is here, as is. Who else? Eric Fry. Tattoo Alley. Elaine. Josh Casto. Good to see you, brother. And Wizard Moon. Karen Alberding. Just looking for any new names quick as I'm talking away. And as you guys are talking away, there's more and more scrolling that I have to do. But anyway, so I guess that's most everybody. I'm sorry if I missed anyone. Annie Manuel was the first one in the door tonight, so congratulations, Annie. T.S. Mac N is here as well. Rock and roll. Good to see you, T.S. Thanks for coming in and checking out the show. I really appreciate that. So I guess the doll's about the only newsworthy thing right now. Kat Doherty, good to see you. And I'm just scrolling as I'm talking. I got to get like Dave Scott. Dave Scott can type. He can talk to people in the chat. And he can do his radio intros all on the same breath. It's like the man is a true multitasker. And I'm not. I am a serial monotasker. I try to multitask, but it usually ends up being stupid. So, yeah. Bad Boy's here. Good to see you, Bad Boy. Excellent to have you here, buddy. Excellent to have all of you guys here. It's, being my birthday, it's special, extra special to have all you guys here with me. Renee Cruz is here. Good to see you, Elaine. I said Elaine already, but hello, Renee. I guess that's it. That's everyone that's here. Let me go down, see if anyone else has piled in. Looks like Jason Finch popped in. Good to see you, Jason. Excellent to have you here. And Owl 13, I don't know if I said hello, but hello to you and welcome. Local Squatch is here. What did Local Squatch say? One time I played basketball. Basketball on acid and I didn't miss one shot. Or did ya? Remember, you're on acid. You could have probably been shooting hoops into I don't know, even into toilets, and you would have been scoring threes. That means that basically you're on acid. You don't know what you're shooting buckets at, and every one of them makes it. It's the hallucinogen. I don't know. It was really funny in my head, but maybe it didn't translate well into the vocal part of me. But anyway, that's hilarious. Happy birthday! Thank you, Jason Finch. I appreciate it. Jason is chat singing to me. I appreciate it, brother. I appreciate it a bunch. I'm not lying. I'm a damn good shot, bro. You could be. I'm just saying. You said you're on acid, so God only knows what you're doing. You could have been throwing, I don't know. I'm just saying. Could have been anything. Anything. And on the acid trip, it was a basketball and a bucket. But that's the funny part. It's still funny in my head. Sorry, I'm having a good moment with it. Oh, thank you, Maggie. Maggie with the $2 Australian donation. Thank you so much. Appreciate the super chat. I really do. One time this hippie in Birkenstocks hijacked the local court in Wolfboro, New Hampshire, and he challenged everybody to beat him, and everybody lost and wouldn't give up the court. I'm betting you didn't. He was tripping, and I've never seen that guy touch a basketball, and I went to high school with him for 2 years. Oh, there you go. Maybe it's something with acid and shooting buckets. I don't know. Maybe that's like an NBA secret that we don't know about. All right. Well, whatever the case, we got a spike on the ghost meter. It said there was a spirit here, I guess. I guess there was a spirit here. So anyway, I'm glad I could enrich this show. Absolutely. Every time, every one of you guys is here, it's enriching the show. So, but it's just you guys and me tonight. I did offer Sheldon to come in, but he's not able to tonight. So it's just us. And we're going to do 2 hours of the paranormal, or an hour and 45 minutes now, or 40 minutes now. And we got a lot to get to. We're going to get to some news here in just a moment. And then we're going to get to another article that I think should be a lot of fun, should be interesting. And hopefully it's a good one. I haven't read it before, but I never read anything before the shows. I just pull things based on headlines and hope you guys like them. So we're going to get to that. And then, of course, we'll get to the cryptids and anything else we decide to get to. Remember, you guys are my co-hosts. So if you got something you want to say, capitalize all the letters, if you would, please, of what you're going to type. The Unknown and T-Bone donated too. Thank you, Rachel. I didn't see that. Oh, yeah. Unknown came in with 20. And T-Bone with 20. Thank you, guys. You guys are awesome. I appreciate it. That makes it just an amazing birthday already. Not that I need donations to have an amazing birthday, but it does help. It helps keep the lights on here in the Portal studio. So, all right. I guess without further delay, we're going to get to some more stuff and see just what's going on. Yeah, you're right. I just read Barbara's chat over in Rumble. That's funny. Could have been just like that. Definitely. So, okay, we're going to get to the news and find out just what the hell's going on in the world. So I hope you guys are ready to get newsed, because I'm about to news you up. And you don't want to hear it. It all starts like this. There we are, folks. We are in the Paranormal Portal news desk. And I'm your anchor, Brent Thomas, and I'm going to try to bring you through the news. Good to see you. Hello, Jaron at Supernatural Station Podcast. And ladies and gentlemen, I just sat down last night with Jaron and Roman, the two hosts of Supernatural Station Podcast. We had a great interview. They interviewed me for their show, believe it or not. So you'll have to find out when that's going to get posted. When will that be live? I don't know. But please watch for it and check out Supernatural Station's podcast and get invested over there. They're a great couple of guys, and they're actual friends of mine. And I've really loved getting to know them, and we'll be seeing them at Phenomicon in Vernal, Utah in September. So they're going to get a booth this year as well. So they're going to be all set up to talk about their show to people at the conference. So please, if you can be in Vernal, come hang out with us. Come hang out with the Supernatural Station guys and hang out with me. I'll be there, and so will Sheldon. So we'll get into that in September. And it seems like a long way away, but I swear to God, it's going to be like, you're going to blink and it's going to be September. It's just the way time goes now. Not sure why. Oh, of course, you're welcome for the love, Jaron. I had a good time talking with you guys. We had a good discussion. And it wasn't just a normal, ask me question, answer. We had a discussion, and that was fun. I like discussions best. I mean, I'm okay answering questions too. That's fine. Yeah, it's I'm not sure where you're coming from, local Squatch, but yeah, come to Vernal, Utah in September. It's they have an amazing conference there called Phenomicon, and there's going to be a lot of people there. David Paulides, Nick Pope, the cast of Skinwalker Ranch. Mysteries of Skinwalker Ranch will be there because they're actually filming right in the neighborhood. So it's kind of their conference in a sense, like they are part of the community, and several members of the cast are part of the planning for the conference. So there's just a whole host of people. Go to phenomicon.net and get more information about that event. If you can make it, it's one to get. It's really one of the bigger ones, maybe the biggest paranormal conference on the West Coast or on the west side of the United States. So if you can make it, make it. A couple friends of mine will also be there, and that is Tony and Cherie Rathman of the Staticom project. I've interviewed them. They are specialists in EVPs and utilizing white noise generators to get spirit voices, and they're very, very interesting, wonderful people. And they're going to be there. They're going to be connected and actually presenting there, so it should be a good time. It'll be cool to meet you and the normal people. Yeah, well, I'm paranormal as a person as well. So, I'm not normal. It's fun being around so many like-minded people. It is. Yeah, Jaron, you and Roman were there last couple of years, at least. Maybe last two out of three of the last 3 years you were there. I don't know if you were I know I met you the first year that I was there with Dawn. And then I didn't remember meeting you this next year, but the year after that, which was last year, I saw you and Roman again. So that was with Sheldon and I. So, yeah, it's going to be a great time. If you can get there, get there. It's, again, in Vernal, Utah, and that'll be happening at the beginning of September. So lots of time to plan. Just saying, if you're going to take a vacation. Hello, Jackie Hall. Hey, Werewolf, good to see you. I thought you were talking to me. Whatever. Werewolf, she's here to see Werewolf. It's good to see all you guys. Thank you so much for coming in. Okay, we got some news to get to. As usual, throughout the course of the show, I utilize a lot of different sites, and I just implore you guys, please support these sites. Please visit them. Please give them your love, because these sites are incredibly well done, and they do an incredible job. So please check them out. I assume you're into the paranormal, the unknown, the strange, the unusual, and if you are, every one of the sites that I utilize on this show has tons of amazing articles and information, and you're going to love it. So please check them all out. All right, let's get to the first article, and this is coming from an amazing site, which is known as unexplained-mysteries.com, and I love this site. I truly lean on it pretty heavily for the news, because nobody else does it better. They really are doing the best job out there as far as posting timely, relevant news information, and a lot of weird stuff too, which is perfect. So let's get to the first article, and this is coming from, again, unexplained-mysteries.com, and this is Scottish Islanders are being driven mad by a pervasive, I don't know how to say this, Hebridean Hum? I'm not sure what a Hebridean Hum is. I had to slow down and sound out all the syllables. Hebridean. But whatever it is, that's apparently going on over there. So let's see what it says. This is from April 30th, today old. And residents of the remote outer Hebrides, I don't know how the hell to say this, off the coast of Scotland. Forgive me, all of those of you from the UK. I am butchering the hell out of it, but I'm doing my best. Off the coast of Scotland have been plagued by the mysterious noise. The din, which resembles a monotonous humming sound, can reportedly be heard both day and night, and is particularly audible on the Isle of Lewis, especially on the island's east coast. Some residents have been driven round the bend by the noise and are unable to sleep at night. It's impossible to ignore. It's like someone shouting in your face constantly for attention. Dr. Laura Grace Kirtley, who started a Facebook page dedicated to the phenomenon, told BBC Radio's Good Morning Scotland, it's a very low humming, droning, pulsating sound. It's incredibly intrusive and distressing. I haven't slept a night through for weeks and have problems concentrating. I get a lot of fluttering in my ears. It's making me dizzy and giving me headaches. The island's local council has admitted to having received complaints concerning this noise. As with any other reports of this nature, the council's environmental health team is investigating and will liaise with those who have reported the issues, said a spokesperson. And so far, possible explanations have ranged from the sound of wind blowing through a TV mast to the low-frequency sounds produced by mating fish. Of course, it's mating fish. That's the hum that they make is just maddening. What? To date, however, no concrete answer has been found. Who the hell said the fish thing? If they had a job that puts them in charge of something, they need to be fired. It's mating fish. That's what the humming, pervasive noise that doesn't quit is from. Crazy stuff. Crazy. All right. Well, that's the news. That's all I know about it. That's, you know, as much as I do. If anybody hears anything more about this, I'd love an update, because I'm betting it's not mating fish. I mean, my God, if I don't even know what to say to that. That's the dumbest explanation I think I might have ever been party to. In all my years of doing the portal, mating fish has never come up as an explanation for, well, pretty much anything, and it shouldn't. So there you go. That's what they're throwing at it. They must have just a dartboard, and they just throw, well, mating, got mating on this one, and then throw, oh, it's fish, mating fish. It's not mating fish. But what is the frequency coming from? Who knows? That's got to be maddening, though. I think if I were these residents, I would probably invest in some kind of, like, earplugs. I mean, honestly. I don't know if it's so low that it's, like, goes through that kind of thing and still bugs you. I don't know. I don't know what they mean by a low, monotonous hum. But that's horrible. That would be maddening. I think I could sleep through it just fine, though, honestly. Once I get to sleep, I can sleep through anything, to a degree anyway. So that's the first article. I don't know. First time I've ever heard anything about this, and certainly first time I've ever heard an example that was so poorly thought out that the person ought to slap themselves in the face for several minutes concurrently. All right. Anyway, let's go to the next one. And this is also from unexplained-mysteries.com. And let's see what's going on. This is from the UFO Phenomena Files. This one looks pretty wild. Certainly, I think given all of the cases of alien encounters and abduction, there's been stories every once in a while that surface of people not having a great ending to that experience. Like, I think there was a law enforcement officer in the UK that was, I don't know if it was him or if he found the body of someone that was basically laying on this refuse pile after these bright lights were seen, and the guy was allegedly abducted, and basically just his corpse was dropped off. So I don't know what was going on. But let's see what this is all about. This is, again, today old. So let's read about it. Aliens are killing people, claims real-life close encounters scientist. I guess his name is Jacques Vallée. That name seems familiar, like I might have heard that somewhere. Anyway, let's check it out. Veteran UFO researcher Jacques Vallée maintains that there have been several cases of aliens killing humans. One of the most recognizable names in the field of ufology, probably why I recognize it, but sorry. I'm terrible with names, so that doesn't surprise me. I didn't put that together. Jacques Vallée has spent decades researching the topic and was even a contributor to the U.S. Air Force's Project Blue Book. He's also the inspiration behind the character of Claude Lacombe, a French scientist in Spielberg's iconic 70s alien visitation movie, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Now 85, Vallée maintains that there have been several documented cases of people being killed by hostile extraterrestrial visitors, and that governments have been covering up the truth for years. Ooh. I can tell you that in my files, some of which I contributed to the database of, there are at least half a dozen well-documented cases where the injuries that resulted in death were deliberate, he said. The files in question were put together by Vallée himself as part of a secretive Pentagon-linked UFO study pertaining to the Advanced Aerospace Weapons System Applications Program, or AOSAP. That acronym did not work out so well. The files in question were put together by Vallée himself. I just read that. Let me read the next one. While the specifics of the alleged cases of human deaths or injuries caused by UFOs remain under wraps, it's believed that several hundred such examples occurred in Brazil. Vallée maintains that the truth is being kept from the general public because if word of hostile extraterrestrial visitors was to get out, it could unravel the fabric of society. If we want to disclose something as simple as saying, yes, we acknowledge the phenomena and it seems to be coming from space, we would have to answer 100 other questions that this is not the end of the story, Vallée recently told KLAS. There are religious questions. There is a religious side to all of this. I don't know. I really don't think. And I think the release of the Tic Tac videos from the Pentagon were a great example of this. For the longest time, people have maintained, look, we can't tell people that UFOs might be real because it would just destroy the foundation of our society. There'd be mass hysteria and panic everywhere as a result. But they released those videos, and it was just another day. It was just another day, another item in a news blip that came and went, and most people it didn't really move the needle. There was no panic because of it. There was maybe the one thing that happened was it changed the tone for the way this stuff is covered in the media, when it is covered at all. And when you would hear of any kind of UFO reports prior to that, it'd be like, well, we're going to go over to Stacy, who's at the Ball Peen trailer park where several residents saw a flying saucer. This chuckling dismissal. Well, now they represent it at least as, well, we got another story of strange lights in the sky, and Becky's going to bring us up to speed on that. And so it's not this laughing dismissal that it used to be. So I think it did lend it some more credibility, or at least consideration, but it didn't undermine the fabric of society like people have worried forever. And I don't, obviously saying, hey, they might be killing people is another step. It's certainly another level of gravity in this whole discussion. But is it really going to move the needle? Probably not. I mean, hell, we've been killing ourselves for multi-millennia. And so we've managed to still continue doing just fine otherwise. And so regardless of who's doing the killing, I don't think that the potential acknowledgement that it could be aliens doing it is really going to change the scene of anything, other than some people are going to say, yep, I thought so. I knew they were up to no good, or, whatever. But if it was epidemic proportions, like War of the Worlds kind of thing, yeah, then of course that will probably undermine the foundation of society. But the fact that a few people here and there throughout the history of abductions have been, maybe intentionally killed, well, it's not good, and I don't think anybody's in that frame of mind, but it also maybe isn't surprising for a lot of us either. So, who knows? But you guys will have to let me know. Supernatural Station, you are right you are, Brent. Well, there you go. I like being right. So, I don't know. But again, at least it's being handled with a little less tongue-in-cheek. That was usually the delivery of all of this stuff prior to these soft disclosures that we've been experiencing. So there's that. I don't know. You guys should let me know what you think. Do you think if they did publicly come out and say, look, we've got all these cases of these people that were clearly intentionally killed by extraterrestrials, what do you think the ramifications would be on society, our global norms? Would it even be a blip? So I don't know. You guys be the judge. Let me know what you think. I just don't think it would. Yeah, how many people die from lightning strikes? Philip Blair says, good point. Yeah, I'm sure more people die of getting struck by lightning every year than they do of getting killed by flying saucers. Just saying, thousands of victims of these aliens and underground human and alien interactions where they are experimenting on human victims. Sure, there's possibility that is true, Local Squatch, you're right. But that's still conjecture at best. Like there's no smoking gun on any of those claims. Could they be true? Sure, absolutely. I wouldn't doubt it, but I can't prove it either. Hey, Bill Simone's over in X messaging. Maybe a slight change. Maybe. You're right. It might move the needle more than I'm thinking, but I'm just, in our modern age, everything moves at such speed. And some of the most groundbreaking things have been happening, and they're literally little more than just a blip on the news ticker. And then let's move on to whatever's next. I don't know if that's a case of us being incredibly desensitized by our a massive consumption of different media, and it's just kind of maybe it's caused us to look at everything like swipe left. I don't know. Just curious though. Jaron says, yeah, like we talked yesterday, there could be stuff out there that is true, but people just gloss over it at this point because there's so much news coming at us. Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're being inundated all the time with information of some measure, some of it worthwhile, but most of it is just fluffy filler stuff. And we've become information junkies without merit, kind of. What was that? Wes had an episode on his show called The Zoo that he took down that is all about this topic. Still going on today. He took the episode down? I don't know. I don't know that Wes has usually ever taken anything down. He just kind of lets it roll. But, well, I mean, if I remember it, Local Squatch, I will. I'm curious what you're talking about. But anyway, yeah. Go back 30 years to stop it. So just chill. I don't know. Wait, I just read two. The chat scrolled and actually read two comments as one. Go back 30 years and study what is true and don't be deceived. All these dangers, there's nothing we can do to stop it. So just chill. Yeah. Mike Prine's over there on Facebook. Good to see you, Mike. Nuclear boring machine. Oh, you talking about that humming? I wonder. That's an interesting take. Could it be some subterranean stuff going on? That's a good take, actually. Maybe. For the Scottish noise, maybe so. All right, well, that's the second story, and, you be the judge. I'm certainly not qualified to be any kind of spokesman for, the state of things, but this one is a pretty interesting story. I don't know how this happened. I've been excited to read this one since I pulled it up based on the headline, but this one's from the world of bizarre of unexplained-mysteries.com, and let's check it out. 80-year-old falls from the 6th floor window and then walks away unscathed. 80 years old, fell out of a 6-story window and just walks away, no problem. What, did he land in a bucket of pillows or a truck of pillows or what? Let's see what it says. The octogenarian seemed to survive the fall unscathed despite plummeting 6 stories to the ground. According to reports, the incident, which occurred in look at that word. It's like somebody spilled Scrabble all over the place. Yekaterinburg, Russia, occurred after the woman who had been cleaning her windows lost her balance and fell. The idea that anyone, let alone an 80-year-old, could survive such a plunge seems impossible. Yet not only did the woman survive, but she simply got on her feet and walked away as if nothing was amiss. She's a superhero. She's got to be a superhero, right? What ultimately saved her life was the fact that she fell on top of a car, which crumpled when she landed on it, cushioning her impact with the ground in just the right way to save her. Well, I guess there's that. Even a professional stunt person would have been in trouble landing so perfectly. Not only was she lucky to fall right, but had she been any further toward the building, the back of her head would likely have hit the frame supporting the truck and almost been certainly fatal, one commenter wrote. Similarly, had she or the car been shifted a foot, or possibly left, either left or right, she would have landed again on the frame, which would have also been fatal, or at least she would have sustained far worse injuries. She landed square in the middle of the roof, allowing it to crumple, and not her. Wow. Well, that's got to be divine providence there. That's got to be a divine intervention. Like, what are the odds that this 80-year-old woman's cleaning windows on the 6th floor? Oops, falls, and there happens to be a target there that's just perfectly placed for her to land and be none the worse for wear. Like it crumpled, like some of those stunt jumps, they use like these basically cardboard boxes. They just crumple and absorb and disperse the energy of the impact. Well, it sounds like this truck did the very thing. So very, very interesting. Wow. I don't know about you, but you don't hear those stories very often. But when they come up, you got to think there is a God. There is a God for sure. So I don't know. Very interesting story, though. I'm glad she is. God bless her. That certainly would have been a tragic thing, just trying to have clean windows. And it ends up being the last thing you do in this world. Wow. Very cool. All right, I need to drink. Refreshing. Stomp it down. All right, well, that's going to do the news, I think, for tonight. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you heard some stories you thought were good and interesting and fantastic and exciting and maybe made you think a little. If not, well, hope you enjoyed it anyway. Unacknowledged and unknown is in here. Yes. Normal is near Bloomington. Normal is near Bloomington. Local Squatch. Oh, he's responding. Okay. I've never seen the name Unacknowledged and Unknown. But welcome to the show. Thanks for coming in. It's nice to have you jumping into the chat and taking part. Lucier, Ancient Mystery School, Jim Edward Lucier. Hello. Hello to you. Welcome to the show. Great to see you. Bill Simone says, very enjoyable. Bill, you're so nice. You're such a nice guy. Thank you. And so supportive. Keep it up. Keep it up. All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for the news. Let's get back to the rest of the show. I've got a bunch of fantastic other stuff for us to get to, so I guess we'll do that now. Here it is. Oh, that Nino kind of guy is here too. Good to have you, that Nino. Thanks for coming in. Or is it Nino? Or is it Nino? I don't know. Anyway, welcome everybody. All right, Owl 13 says, my stepdad is 85 and mows the lawn on a 1-acre property and grows a garden every year. Yes, some people are just aging gracefully as hell. That's so cool. I'm really glad to hear that. My grandmother on my dad's side, she was in her 90s. She did finally pass away. She had developed some kind of cancer in her mouth and stuff, but that woman was unstoppable. She would drive in her 90s. She lived alone. She would come down and help my mom with her house cleaning and stuff, and she was just a machine. But she was that way her whole life. And it's no wonder her son, my dad, was the same way. He was just a worker, But yeah, she would have, if it hadn't been for the cancer, she'd still probably be driving and living alone. She was just a very capable person. It's I'm made of a much different metal than all that, though. It's much more pliable and soft. I don't know. I'll be lucky to see 70, I think, Who knows, though? I don't know. Maybe it'll go by in 5 minutes, and I'll look up and I'll be 80. Like, oh, wow, time flew. Because it is going faster. I have no doubt that there's a time anomaly going on, and the years are sliding by in moments. It's crazy. Might just be getting old, but whatever the case is. That's fantastic. That woman was fine. And yeah, you're 85-year-old mowing a 1-acre yard. Is he got a riding lawnmower at least? Is he doing it on a rider or is he pushing? I mean, either way is a really huge feat, but God, I hope the guy's got a rider at least. My dad's favorite thing was mowing the yard. He loved to mow the yard and he loved to drink beer. So we lived way out in the country, so he'd get these snapper riding lawnmowers, and the first thing he would do is connect a can holder on his mower, and that's what he'd do. Just get out and mow the yard. He'd mow every yard he could get his hands on, and he'd sit there and just throw back the beers and have a ball. I guess it was his quiet time. Yes, he does have a rider. Okay, good. But Brent, you're only 34 in Squatch years. Well, no, I'm, you know what? I actually, believe it or not, I didn't even realize this, but I can actually get that senior discount now, 55 and older. I'm like, what? Oh, wait, yeah, I'm in there. I'm in there. So I'm actually saving money now when I go to stores. It feels like I'm doing something wrong because it's like, even though like this year I'll be 56 tomorrow, but I swear I don't feel well. I mean, other than the physical maladies and aches and pains, but I don't feel like I'm over like 25, and maybe it's my maturity level more than anything. I don't know, but it's crazy how the body moves into these advanced states, but our minds for the most part are just still in our 20s. It's crazy. Are you not scared? What is that word? Are you not scared? Oh, scared. Scared of what? What am I? What? No, I'm not scared. You're paying for the Mexican. I tell you what, Jaron, I will get the tab and use the discount, but this time it's on you, brother. So that's Jaron's referring to last year at Phenomicon. Sheldon and I took Jaron and Roman out and had some burritos. We also took Tony Merkel and his brother out and had burritos another time too. It was there's a burrito restaurant there, a Mexican restaurant there that is freaking out of control good. I mean, it's so stupid good. It's crazy. And these huge plates, it's like, oh my God. It is literally tongue crack. BJ says, so, see, you feel 25, so Sheldon is your brother. Sometimes he acts like my dad. No, I'm just kidding. No, yeah, I think Sheldon and I have always had, I don't know, I don't want to state that I wasn't his father, because I was very much his father and very much had a firm hand in his upbringing and in raising him. And I'm not saying I was get it done, I wasn't a barker. I was a talker. I'm a talker kind of parent. But we've always been very close. He's always been an exceptional young man, and I'm very proud of him. So we've always had a good relationship, though. It was weird when he was younger and going through high school and stuff. He wanted to hang out with me, not his friends. But then his friends wanted to hang out with me too, which is like, okay, you guys go do something. Bunch of great kids. He had a bunch of wonderful friends though. Just I don't know why I'm breaking that up, but you two just seem so much alike. That's why I thought you were brothers at one time until you told me otherwise. Yeah, he's all grown up, but yeah, I'm proud of the person he's become for sure. Dude, there was one day the other week, I think it was last week, that Sheldon was talking and I thought it was you. I had my head down and I've never noticed how much you guys sound similar. I keep hearing that too. I keep hearing that from people like, oh, you guys sound exactly alike. And the mannerisms, I guess, are very similar too. And it's surprising for me, obviously, because I know he sounds like Sheldon. And maybe I don't really, you don't really hear yourself when you're talking, but I don't know. He's if he is turning out like me, then God help him. But yeah, you do sound exactly the same, huh? Well, I guess that's good. Maybe then, if someday I become far too aged to do the portal, then maybe Sheldon can just move into it and take it over, and you guys never know the difference. Well, that's true. We have other mothers. That's right. But anyway, let's get going and move into something else here. See where we get to. Oops, I just closed that. I need that open, because what we're going to do next is another thought catalog article. And this one I thought would be kind of fun because we hardly touch this stuff. And this is, again, I really like thought catalog because they just have this huge spectrum of articles and interest levels. And you can find something about pretty much anything that you might be interested in, or at least several things that you'll be interested in. This one is an article that was written by Jacob Greers, and it was last updated a year ago, January 16th of 2024. But it is a topic that we've rarely covered here on the show. Now, I do want to preface this. There was a time when Donna and I were doing the portal that we decided to do a show about the Men in Black, which is the topic that I'm going to discuss. Now, something weird happened on that show that I to this day can't explain. We were broadcasting on TFR, which is the internet radio station where I started, and we were also streaming on YouTube. But suddenly, I got booted off the network, just boom, and everything just flatlined. And so I'm like frantically trying to get everything reconnected, and I tried to reconnect to the studio, the TFR studio line, and I couldn't do it. It wouldn't accept the connection. It just kept rejecting. Well, finally it did accept. And there was only like 5 minutes left of my show time. So there was like a 10, 15 minute gap there. But then there was this, when we did connect, everything I said got echoed into a loop. So if, for example, and it was building, anything I would say after that would get cycled into this looping dialogue, this audio. And it was the strangest damn thing, and nobody could explain it, even on the studio end. But it was really weird. We got knocked off the station. That happened to Art Bell too, by the way. But that was when the guy was claiming to be from Area 51, and they found him. And Art said they got knocked out, and it took down the towers or whatever. They just had a real thing. But this is more minor. But I got knocked off. Could not connect. Did finally connect, and ended up with this weird audio loop. And I've got a sound file of it somewhere, but everything I said just looped on top of that, and everything Don said, and it was just this mess of dialogue that just kept regenerating over and over and over and building with everything else we would say. It was really, really something. It was creepy, but that was maybe one of the last times I did a whole show on the Men in Black. But this article has to do with the Men in Black, so hopefully it goes well. All right, so this is 9 freaky encounters with the real Men in Black that'll seriously give you the creeps. And here's the article again from Thought Catalog. And here is the gentleman, Jacob Greers is the author. And I don't think we need to go from his definition of Men in Black, but let's get right to the actual accounts. The real MIB agent who made a coin disappear as a scare tactic. Well, there's magicians that can do that all the time. Is that really in a Men in Black? I don't know. Let's see what the story is. Dr. Herbert Hopkins, who was working as a consultant on a UFO case in Maine, one evening he received a phone call from someone purporting to be an activist in the UFO community, asking him if he could visit Hopkins to discuss the case. Well, only minutes later, the man arrived. The man was wearing a black suit and a black tie and had a very unusual facial appearance with no hair or eyebrows. Again, that comes up a lot. This whole, like, they almost look like they've undergone electrolysis. Like they don't, some people report the Men in Black have absolutely no hair. And an extremely pale figure. Hopkins' dog began barking erratically the minute the man entered the home. Well, after the bizarre visitor was finished questioning him about the UFO case, the visit got even stranger, and here's how it went, according to the website The Night Sky. The man in black informed Hopkins that there were 2 coins in Hopkins' pocket, which was correct, and asked him to remove one. Hopkins complied and held the coin, a shiny new penny, in the palm of his hand. The MIB told Hopkins to watch the coin closely. Well, after a few moments, the coin took on a silvery appearance and then began to be going out of focus. And it began to fade, and eventually it disappeared altogether. The MIB informed Hopkins that the coin would never be seen on this plane again. He then inquired as to whether Hopkins was familiar with the alleged UFO abductee Barney Hill. Hopkins replied that he had heard of Hill, but was under the impression that he had died in the not-too-distant past. The MIB informed Hopkins that was correct. Barney didn't have a heart, said the MIB, just like you no longer have a coin. Ooh. It should be noted that Barney Hill actually died of a cerebral hemorrhage. The MIB then gently suggested that Hopkins destroy any material he had related to the UFO case. Hopkins was extremely shaken by the encounter, followed the advice of the man and burned all of the files that he had related to the case. While he had repeated phone troubles after, the phone company said his line had been tampered with, maybe to tap it, but he never saw the man again. That's creepy. Made a coin disappear, not just it's not in this hand. It was like, look at the coin, it got blurry and then it slowly faded into nothing. And then it was just apparently gone. That's not your run-of-the-mill magic trick. Very creepy. That's strange. What are the Men in Black? And again, I don't pretend to know. They don't seem to be like, there's maybe different versions that have been kind of all lumped together. Like there's obviously the reports of them being more like feds, just federal agents or something that wore black suits as well. And so they got kind of lumped into this. But then there's this really supernatural type that seems to be working on a whole different plane of existence. And, you know, I don't know what the story is there, but sometimes people describe them as like, almost like robots, like they aren't human. They're maybe facsimiles of a human being, like they look kind of human, but really not. And their behavior is absolutely erratic and weird. So like they're not from here. So I don't know. But let's get to the next one. The doctor threatened by the Men in Black and told to stop his UFO research. Again, the other part about this that I do want to mention, and I think it's important, is that Local Squatch says, I think the Men in Black are Scientologists. Maybe they are working for L. Ron Hubbard. You never know. But the other thing that I was going to mention is that there was a period of time where there was a lot of claims of Men in Black. There was these, pretty much anybody with a really big sighting report would have some kind of visit from the Men in Black, and then be scared either into silence or into doubling down and talking about their experience with the Men in Black and all of that entailed and all the questions that persist. But then they just kind of dried up. It's like people don't hear about Men in Black anymore. And I think maybe they're still out there, but maybe they changed tactics because now everything's on the internet. And so maybe it's the Men in Black. Maybe that's some of the trolls. Those people are like, obviously this is fake. I can't believe you guys are even buying into this. How stupid are you? And then of course a bunch of people go, yeah, well, clearly it's fake. I never believed it. And people buy into that. They kind of subscribe to it. They start drinking the Kool-Aid, if you will. And you can see that happen in chat rooms all the time on the internet. I should probably fix my camera a little bit. It's got a lot of next to me and not a lot of me. Whoops, that wasn't. Whoops. Let's do this. There we go. Let me move this over a little bit and give it a little more me on the other side. But it is strange that there were so many reports of Men in Black, and then there's nothing. Like, we don't see them. So are they still out there, and are they doing things differently now? Do they not just show up at people's houses and make coins disappear anymore? You know, or send their robot androids to threaten people. And I don't know. Maybe they do it a different way now. Maybe they work for the Clintons. Oh, was that allowed? Speaking of things disappearing. I'm just kidding. Hello, Tom Rickliffs. Good to see you. Makes me think of the movie The Matrix, Mr. Anderson. Yeah, The Matrix. You're right. That's a good point, Tom. Yeah, like that's maybe something of the Matrix. Maybe it's some part of the system. When you see something you're not supposed to see, maybe they are like the Men in the Black. Yeah. All right, well, let's see what this one is. The doctor threatened by the Men in Black and told to stop his UFO research. Dr. Albert Bender was well-written and an extremely intelligent researcher who founded the International Flying Saucer Bureau. In 1955, his research was about to yield serious fruit as he prepared to unveil a paper that would prove the U.S. government had, to one degree or another, covered up proof of UFOs. He planned to publish his findings in the Space Review. That was until he was visited by the Men in Black. Bender claims that there were three men dressed all in black, visited him at his home and warned him against pursuing the topic of UFOs any further. The men left Bender scared for his life, and he immediately shut down all of his research and the Flying Saucer Bureau. Many people who knew him claim that Bender was a changed man after this encounter. His later works were rambly, almost unreadable, and he seemed to live his life in constant anxiety and terror. He purported to still receive mysterious phone calls with nobody on the other end until the end of his life in 2002. That's sad. I mean, it's sad because, honestly, kind of like the Bigfoot thing that we were talking about. Maybe I was only talking about it. I mean, I've talked about it several times, but, and I subscribe to Carrie Arnold's view that people have a right to know. Well, I think the same is true for the UFO stuff. People have a right to know. And yet there is this very, very present pressure, whether it's governmental or other forces, that are pushing back against people knowing. Well, why? Why shouldn't people know? Why shouldn't they know that maybe we're being visited? Maybe people are being experimented on. Maybe people are, and I'm saying that a little bit tongue-in-cheek because obviously I believe that there's a lot of truth to that. I've seen UFOs myself, so I mean, I have no doubt this is a very real phenomena. But, yeah, I don't know. But people do have a right to know. So let's get to the next one, the Maury Island incident. This one sounds familiar. Harold Dahl and his son were salvaging logs on a fishing boat when they spied 6 donut-shaped craft flying in the air above them. The craft dropped molten waste into the lake. Yes, I remember this. They allegedly killed Dahl's dog and injures his son. A few days later, after talking about the affairs with his boss and friends, he was visited by a mysterious man dressed all in black. The man urged him not to discuss the encounter, and not long after, he was also visited by several Air Force agents who were said to be on a mission to gather information. Dahl's story definitely got the attention of various law enforcement agencies in the United States, leading the FBI to write a report on the matter. And there's the report. I'll put a link to this in the chat if you guys want to see this for yourself. But not long after the encounter with the men in black, Dahl claimed that the whole thing was a hoax. But he recanted again years after, having allegedly made the first confession under duress. Yeah, clearly. Yikes. Oh, here's this one. This is a very famous old photo, and it's called the Solway Firth Spaceman photo. Apparently, this man and his daughter were sitting there alone in this park in the UK, taking photos, and when they got them developed, this figure that was nowhere to be seen as they were there taking the pictures was appearing in the pictures, and it looks like possibly a man with a hand on the hip kind of thing in a helmet or something. So, very strange photo. Jim Templeton was shocked to discover this figure in the background of a photo of his daughter. The figure is not in the camera's view when he took the photo, and nobody had any idea where it came from. The film was verified as authentic by Kodak, and Templeton's story went public. Not long after, he was visited by 2 government agents who referred to themselves as Number 9 and Number 10. Oh, God. If anybody identifies themselves as a number, you're already in trouble. They demanded to see the site of the photo and questioned Templeton about the event. When Templeton told them he didn't see the figure personally, the men became angry and stormed out of the field, never to be seen again. Templeton was later contacted by 2 employees at a missile launch pad in Australia who claimed that they saw 2 figures that resembled the man in his daughter's photo on the launch pad security footage. Apparently, the missiles at that site in Australia had been produced only 20 miles away from the field where Templeton took the photo. Ooh, I never heard that part of the story. That's very, very interesting. I don't know if it's factual or if it's just a claim. Tom Rickliff says I had a big time-lapse encounter. Really? I'd love to hear about it. You know, if any of you out there listening to the sound of my voice have stories that you'd like to share, then you wouldn't mind being a guest on the podcast, please let me know. Head over to Paranormal Portal Radio, or no, paranormalportal.net, or you can email me at paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. And you could be a guest on the podcast if you have some stories you'd want to tell. Then please reach out to me. If you go to the paranormalportal.net and you click the button that says interview me, it'll launch my calendar app, and then you can pick from dates and times available to schedule an interview with me, and we'll record an interview of you telling your story. So it's that easy. It's not hard to be a guest on the portal. But anyway, that's very interesting. Yeah, Jaron, I'd never heard this part of the story either about the Australian connection there, but that's interesting. I saw a giant 8-inch hornet that turned out to be a robotic drone, but the first time I saw it, I thought it was a real giant bug. Next time I saw it was next to my apartment door miles away at home. Ooh, they're watching you. Be careful. All right, number 5, guns no good against aliens. There's some kind of video on that Top 5's channel, so I don't know. They've got a lot of subscribers, though. That's not nukes, I don't think. But whoever Top 5's is, they've got 3.44 million subscribers. Wow. Well, let's read the story. Paul Miller was returning home after a hunting trip when they saw a luminous disc in the sky. The disc landed in an empty field, and 2 humanoids emerged from the craft. Miller fired his gun at them and believed to have injured one when he fled down a rural road in his car. However, in that moment, he realized he lost time, and it was almost 3 hours later than when he first encountered the craft. Well, he shrugged it off and went back to his Air Force job the next day. Ooh, they knew he was Air Force probably. However, upon entering work, he was immediately confronted by 3 men in black suits, and they told him that they had his file. Despite having told nobody about the event, the men said that they knew all about it and mentioned that the encounter would be best forgotten, Paul says. They seemed to know everything about me, where I worked, my name, everything else, Miller said. And they also asked questions about his experiences as if they already knew the answers. Miller, terrified, did not come forward about his experience until years later. Wow. Oh, this one's radio personality harassed by journalists for talking about UFOs. Who's the radio personality? Danny Gordon was a radio personality who had become interested in the flurry of Wythe County UFO sightings. Multiple people across the county claimed to have seen bizarre objects in the sky, and Gordon decided to investigate. Gordon became obsessed with getting photos of the objects, including one time where an entire school bus of students saw the flying UFOs over a shopping mall as Gordon took photos. Eventually, Gordon snapped a few photos at extremely close range that allegedly verified they were not of this world. However, strange things began happening to Gordon. He received a phone call from a man who claimed to be ex-military and warned him that his research could cost him everything, and urged him to stop for his family's sake. That's creepy. Gordon also interviewed by 2 men in black suits who claimed to work for a magazine publication, and not long after the interview, Gordon realized all of his photos were missing. He contacted the magazine for information, and they claimed to have never heard of him, much less commissioned an article about him. Well, not long after, Gordon suffered a heart attack, and his doctor warned him that all of the research and stress was jeopardizing his health. Gordon gave up the story and was never bothered again. Yikes, wonder if his heart was going to be missing. Just saying. Could be. Number 7, UFO researchers harassed at home by real men in black. UFO researcher Jack Robinson and his wife Mary began to experience extremely strange events as they pursued more alien and UFO-related research. They would come home to find their house rummaged and looked through and their UFO files disturbed. Mary also began to notice a strange man in a black suit and hat staring up at their apartment from the doorway. Mary mentioned this activity to a friend who drove over and saw what she was talking about for himself. The friend, Tim Green Beckley, snapped a photo above of the man, which is believed to be on one of the most ironclad pieces of proof of the men in black. There it is. There's the man in black right there in the doorway. That's so creepy. Are you serious? Just going to stand in a doorway and just stare? Oh my God. Is this the last one? It's 8. How many is there? 9. Yeah, 8, 9. Okay, so we're almost done. Number 8, professor harassed in library for reading UFO book. Professor Peter, this name, Rojewicz, claims that he was reading a UFO book in the library when a strange pale man wearing all black sat down next to him. The man began talking to the professor and asked him about his opinion on flying saucers. The professor replied that he wasn't super interested, and the man became very agitated, and he eventually left, leaving the professor extremely uncomfortable and anxious. He did not reveal this story until many years later. When he finally gave a lecture on the subject, he remained convinced that it was a Men in Black official who confronted him in the library, and to this day is trying to find more people who have had similar experiences. And last but not least, and Dan Aykroyd, this video, if this is the same one, it's a hell of a story of where Dan claims he saw Men in Black when he was filming a movie. And when he relates the meat and taters of it, it's pretty fantastic. I'll give the link to this article in the chat so you guys can check out the video yourself. Dan Aykroyd has come forward with his story about how he was taping a show about the paranormal. And he stepped out to take a phone call from Britney Spears, who was asking him to appear on Saturday Night Live with her, when he noticed a black Ford parked across the street. A tall man stepped out of the Ford and stared him down. Aykroyd turned away for a moment and then turned back to find that the man in the car had completely vanished. After he finished his phone call, he returned to the studio to learn that his show had been canceled and he was ordered to stop filming immediately. Some doubt his claim, but Aykroyd says he knew what he saw and maintains that there was some kind of connection between these Men in Black and the end of his paranormal show. There you go. I'm going to put the link in the chat so you guys can check it out. There's, of course, the FBI document in there, as well as the Dan Aykroyd video, and maybe more that I had to skip. But for the sake of the show, we can't cover every little bit. Men in Blues Brothers. Could be Tattoo. Could have been a spinoff. But very interesting. I don't know what you guys think. What do you think of the Men in Black? Where did they go? Where did they go? They were so prevalent in all of this UFO stuff for decades. And then they're just gone. They're just none. There's none anymore. Where did they go? I find that absolutely, absolutely fascinating. What the hell was that? I heard something. Like a tearing paper or something, like, but nothing going on. Anyway, check out the link, check out the images, check out the video on there, and yeah, still around. Hide themselves better. Well, maybe. They did seem largely awkward. Men in Black stories are very awkward. Like they don't really fit in. They don't really fit in. There's actually a cool video that's from a motel or hotel where one of the, I think it was the shift manager at a small hotel had something to do with a UFO encounter. And the surveillance cameras actually filmed these two men in black coming in, and it's summertime, and they're in these full, long, like trench coats and full suits, wearing the typical fedora hats, and they're looking for the guy. And apparently the people that talked to them were like, it was really, really, really super awkward, but the guy wasn't there at the time, so they couldn't connect with him. But they were looking for him. So, yeah, they turned into the black-eyed kids. Maybe they age in reverse. Now they just want to use your phone. Come on, we need to use your phone. Let us in. Don't let them in. Don't do it. All right. Local squad, she went the same place as T-Bone on that one. Yeah, strange stuff. But anyway, we don't cover a lot of that. So nothing weird happened other than that weird sound. But I don't know what that could have been. It could have been any number of different things. Might have been my cat on the other side of the door. So I'm not trying to claim something paranormal happened, but just a weird sound I don't ever remember hearing before. But could be my cat scratching on the door. That would sound weird. But kind of like the spontaneous combustion events just stopped. Yeah, that was a weird one too, wasn't it? And that's strange. Now that you're kind of creating that correlation, Barbara, and you're right. There's some events that just kind of happen, and there's these huge clusters of events, and then suddenly nothing at all. Like they just don't occur anymore. And it's very strange when you think about it. Why? Where did they go? Why don't people just burn up spontaneously? And that's a good thing, I would say, right? It's a good thing that they don't. But what the hell was it? Why were some people just spontaneously combusting? And the science in some of those spontaneous combustion cases are extraordinarily bizarre. Like the temperatures were super hot, super intense to actually powderize bone. But yet there would be things, even papers, just feet away that would not start on fire. So whatever happened to these people was very localized. Maybe there was a Men in Black that was combusting people. I don't know. Just saying, you never know. You never know. I think the rise in video surveillance cameras everywhere has pushed them out of appearing to people, being no more being secretive. Yeah, I think that's a good take, actually. There certainly is a prevalence of recording equipment everywhere. Hell, you know, even in like China, you can't go anywhere without your face and biometrics being read. And I'm sure if they walked around China, they'd probably get flagged all over the place, like not on file, not on file. So, because I'm sure the Men in Black are not probably on the census. But anyway, very interesting stuff. I met somebody who told me he was a targeted individual. I literally had someone approach me the next day after we pulled away. And say after we pulled away, I am the gang stalker. That's creepy. Oh, T-Bone rolling deep. Gift and memberships. God bless you, T-Bone. So who is the lucky recipients today? Justin Goodearth, you just got yourself a free membership. And Mr. Cheap Chips got some. Mr. Chips, that sounds like a brand, Mr. Cheap Chips. I like chips. Just saying. It's my birthday. I like chips. See if we can work on some sponsorship deal. That'd be fine. I like cheap chips even better. Let's see. Christian Palmer got one. Congratulations. Bigfoot Dwarf got one. And Buttons 68 all got memberships. Thank you, T-Bone, for gifting 5 memberships for all these wonderful people. And maybe you'll like it. Maybe you'll choose to keep it up and continue to be a member. But if not, you're a member now for 30 days. So enjoy it. All right, let's see what's going on. I'm catch up with the chat here. Maybe the Men in Black are finally figured out that wearing fedoras draws attention. Yeah, it's very strange. I mean, it worked in the 50s just fine, but the world kept developing, and apparently their fashion choices didn't. So, yeah, that would stand out. You just blew Brown Dwarf's cover. He's out there lurking, watching, listening, building cases on people, the block. Yeah, well, Dwarf is always welcome in whatever facet he chooses to be here. But you're right. He's been kind of called out now. There's probably lots of weird under the same umbrella. Yeah, you're probably right. So anyway, that was a Men in Black story. I hope you guys like that. We don't cover a lot of that. In fact, extraordinarily rarely on the show do we cover Men in Black stories. But I saw that and went, yeah, that'd be fun. We haven't talked much about that stuff. Like, we talk the hell out of some Bigfoot around here. Like, that happens all the time, but we don't talk a lot of other oddities and strangeness. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. But did I say Bigfoot? I did, didn't I? Because it's time for the next facet of our journey here on the portal. And this part is a segment I think you'll all know and love. And it is called the Cryptid Corner. Special thanks to Grateful Owl for that transition. That's still, love that thing. Very, very cool. All right. Well, this is the Cryptid Corner, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to start at Sasquatch Chronicles and check it out. If you do hear any kind of humming right now, it's a ceiling fan that's above me. It's kind of going like that. I think I've got most of the audio problems cleared up, though. But just so you know, if you do hear any kind of humming, it's the ceiling fan. And I'm aware of that, but I'm dying in the studio. It's getting hot in here. Got a lot of electronics burning all the time. Not burning, that's not the right word. On at the same time. I don't want to jinx it. But yeah, it gets a little warm here in the studio, so I got to keep some air moving to keep it cool. So this is the Cryptid Corner. This is where we discuss all kinds of undocumented creatures that allegedly exist in our world, much like Bigfoot and Dogman and Loch Ness Monster and pale crawlers, rakes, whatever, and any number of other strange things that are reported that have yet to be substantiated by our sciences. So this is the area where we talk about them a lot. Not that we don't talk about them in other cases, but Brett, Paranormal Portal, loving the icons for chat. Thank you. Oh, I got to make some new ones. I've got a whole bunch of other ones that I got to put, including the D-hole. I know Rachel did an excellent D-hole artwork for me, and I think it was even clipped out in the Discord to be used as an icon here, but I haven't actually uploaded it. It's still in here somewhere. It's just the ability to get everything done. The ceiling fan of doom. No, it's not. No, it's just a white ceiling fan. I don't think there's any doom attached to it. Not this one anyway. So let's get to the cryptids. Let's get to this. This is starting off in Sasquatch Chronicles blog, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, you all know about Sasquatch Chronicles, the podcast, but if you're not aware of the blog, this is a huge endeavor of Wes's, and it's the home territory of the Sasquatch Chronicles. So if you're only listening to Wes's podcast, which is, fantastic, and please continue doing that, but he's also posting a ton of information every day on this blog, and there's a great opportunity. You'll pick up some information about other shows. Sometimes our show. He sometimes posts episodes on his blog about the Paranormal Portal, the podcast. So lots to see and lots to check out, and he's doing an exceptional job. So please help to support what he's doing. All right. And everybody out there in the hearing the sound of my voice, just as a sidebar.
Mud.
Oh, thank God, it says mud. I thought it said blood. It's like, it says mud. Mud. My name is Mud. Sorry, I just went a little Primus in my head there. But just a side note. Send your prayers and love to the Merkles, Tony Merkel and his wife. They're going through some pretty serious stuff right now, and they need your prayers and your love. And so please send your prayers and support to Lindsay, Tony's wife, and to the whole family. She's just entered into this battle with breast cancer, and so they need your love and support. So please take a moment, send a prayer, send love, light, energy, whatever. For her rapid healing and to beat this horrible situation. So please send them your love. Anyway, mud is where I find footprints of the Squatch. Yeah. Tell Tony not to give his money away to the medical mafia. Well, I appreciate what you're saying, Foot Clan, and I believe that there's, plenty of alternative ideas as far as the treatment, but I'm not going to insert myself into how they address this as a family. But God bless them, and just hope it goes good. And hopefully she's back at 100% before you know it. Yeah, I'm sure you're right. I don't doubt that there are plenty of other approaches to effectively battling cancer, but I'm not a doctor, but I do believe that is true, but I don't have any kind of credentials behind my name to say anything factually about it. But yeah, hope she comes out of it healthy and happy. Yeah, for sure. Hope the whole family does. That's got to be a very, I don't want to say scary, because I know they have an incredibly strong faith, but we want the best for them. Tony's a wonderful guy, and I just couldn't imagine the kind of hell that he's dealing with right now, just with that on the table. So God bless him, and hopefully it goes phenomenally. All right, so let's continue. We're going to go into this article from Sasquatch Chronicles, and this one's from April 29th, yesterday. Strange lights while backpacking. So is this a Sasquatch thing? Maybe not, but maybe. Of course, I think everybody listening to the sound of my voice has heard the possibility of Sasquatch potentially having other abilities than what were traditionally attributed to biological creatures here on Earth, but we don't know. Is it possible, though? Certainly it seems to be that there's something to these claims. So let's check out this story. I'm not sure that the person equates this with Sasquatch or not, but it's on the blog, so we're going to read it. A listener writes, I'm originally from Iowa, but I've lived in the Pacific Northwest for the better part of the last 10 years. I'm currently in Portland. I did live in Olympia for a few years in my early 20s. Well, I'm now 31, and since I was 21, I've gotten pretty into backpacking. My buddy, who's also from Iowa, has helped me to move out here. Back then was hyped on the idea of backpacking, and we sort of learned to do it together by just winging it out on various trails in the Olympic Peninsula. Well, since then, I've done a ton of trails in the peninsula, as well as the few places in the Mount Hood National Forest. Well, last summer, my backpacking buddy, who lives in Tacoma these days, was getting into Class C scramble routes up in the Northern Cascades. I don't know what that means, but it sounds like it's tougher. Well, I'd never done one before, nor had I ever backpacked up there, just driven through many times, and he asked me if I wanted to try out the Kalitan Peak with his climbing buddies and then sleep on Malacca Lake, which is still at least 6 miles or so from the parking lot, but 5 miles from the ascent, so it's an 11-mile approach. I said, heck yeah, and hopped on the Amtrak that Friday to go up and meet them. We headed up to the trailhead first thing in the morning on August 10th, and at this point in my life, I'd never experienced anything that strange in the woods, other than once in the peninsula in 2020. I woke up under our tarp in the rain. We've always cowboy camp, 7 miles down the Skokomish River at around 4 a.m., as though I'd heard something snap a twig or something. And when I looked into the darkness, I saw a sort of vision or flash in my mind's eye of a strange, one-eyed potato shape being just looking at me. Well, it was odd and felt like something was saying hello or something, but I just shrugged it off and tried to go back to sleep. Well, anyway, I've been thinking about contacting you about what I saw at Kalitan for a while now, and I just listened to the Round Butte story tonight while cooking dinner and decided to finally reach out. My story is nowhere near that intense, but I did see the same kind of orbs in the backcountry from Lake Malacca. If you decide to talk to me about this one, it might be on the shorter side and I can share more detail, but basically we made camp at Malacca and took lighter packs up the summit of Kalitan. I feel like I'm talking in Martian or something here. On the way up, one of our crew of 5 plus a dog had one of those single lens had one of those single lens binoculars. I think they're called a monocular. Bi means two, mono means one. We all passed it around and looked at people summiting what I think was Chair Peak across the way. When it was my turn, I saw two people on the peak, and they looked like little ants even through the binocular, but I could see them taking selfies and stuff like that. Well, I then looked over at the next peak over, not very far, to the left of the same ridgeline, and that's when I saw someone summit that one too right at that moment as I looked at it, and I even yelled out, "Oh, wow, there's someone summiting the next peak too." My friends thought that was cool, and I took the binocular down to point the peak to everyone. And then I looked back through the binocular and noticed the person seemed like really tall. That's all the detail I made out, though, because right then it looked like the person just jumped off, like a huge leap off the other side of the mountain. No one I was with seemed to care, really, except for me, saying that seeming weird. None of them are into thinking about the unknown, really, either, just rational explorers. Well, anyway, so I had a weird feeling about that the rest of the day, but we summited Kalitan, which was awesome, and we got back down to our site before dark. Well, that night we were pretty excited because it was the night of the Perseids meteor shower. The three of us and the dog who stayed the night cowboy camped on the ground. And I had a dome tent posted up, which we used to store our gear and hold the spot during the summit. But I set out my spot right on the ground in front of it. I could see Chair Peak and the other peak with the figure from where I was laying, as well as the ridgeline past it. And basically after dark, we were waiting for meteors to start, and my friend's dog started wigging out like she was freaked out by something. Her owner thought that was super odd, since she's been a backcountry dog her whole life, and took her for a walk. Well, I thought I had seen some lights up on the other ridgeline, the one behind Chair Peak, but my buddy and I determined it was a rising star, creating the illusion of movement in the trees. And we had seen a couple of baby meteors by this time. But about 2 minutes after we debunked the lights in the trees, we saw a ripper of a meteor cut across the whole sky. Immediately after that, I looked back at where I thought there had been lights, and there were two huge, extremely bright white orbs of light suspended in parallel right above the ridgeline, right where that star we had debunked had just been. As I looked at them and realized what they were, they both started moving in unison upwards, and that freaked me out. So I yelled at my buddy, and he looked at them upside down since he was laying the other way, but he confirmed he saw them, and we both watched them and just stop and hover, then systematically sort of arced away from each other and went back behind the ridgeline. And that's all I saw, but it definitely shook me being that far in the backcountry. It eerily felt like we were being showed, like they were showing themselves to me specifically. I felt helpless because they seemed so close, and we were so far away from the car, and it's super unsafe to hike in the dark with cougars and all of that. Well, there you go. Very strange. I mean, it's not an over-the-top kind of sighting, but it's a weird sighting. So was it something cryptid, interdimensional, or was it UFO-y? I don't know. I can't see what he's seen, but I can only judge by the description he's given. And it's hard to tell. I mean, are they star-sized lights, or he said they were huge? What does that mean? I don't really know. So obviously must have looked bigger than a star, I guess, is my take on that. But it's anybody's guess. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think, first of all, I would be curious, how many of you believe that Bigfoot are capable of some really strange, out of this world kind of things? Or do you think, are you guys more in the flesh and blood idea? Because there's two very, very distinct camps of schools of thought. camps of thinking, schools of thought, that Bigfoot is flesh and blood. It's another terrestrial being on this planet, but it's exceptionally good at avoiding us, or it's something we can't quite understand. It's supernatural. It exists beyond our understanding in a way that we can't comprehend. So what do you guys think? You have to let me know. Let me know in the comments. Happy Dog Lady says both. Appreciate it. I don't know. Hey, Car Juice, I just saw you came in a bit ago, but I just see that your words are up there now, so I just realized I never said hello to you. So good to see you. I think they can be both flesh and blood here, but able to travel through portals when necessary. Supernatural station, old world connected bloodline to something of the Nephilim, or just connected to nature in such a way, both for sure. I went to Estes Park Bigfoot Festival at 4:30 in the morning. My lamp became dislodged from the table, which is connected by a clamp, and hit the floor while I was putting my socks on. I don't know. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Owl13 says a bit of both. Mike Prine says woo woo over there in Facebook. So thank you for weighing in. Good to see what you guys think. I mean, I don't pretend to know, honestly. I don't. I like to focus on the fact that at least the one thing we can all agree on is they're physical sometimes, because they leave prints, they eat, they interact in a physical manner in the environment around them. They might be something else, but I've not witnessed that. I've not seen it, and it's hard for me to conceptualize, but is it possible? Sure. I wouldn't say anything is impossible, but I will just say that I don't understand that other stuff real well. And how could we? How could I? How could anybody? But, anything's possible. The world is bigger than we think. This one looked like a good one, too. I was going to read this one, but how long is it? This one's another one from Sasquatch Chronicles, but it's has to do with 1970s Wisconsin werewolf. I think we'll read that because I haven't heard many of these from Wes's site, and I'm kind of excited to check this one out. So let's do just that. Here we go. Sasquatch Chronicles blog from April 27th, 1970s Wisconsin werewolf. And of course, if you're familiar with Linda Godfrey, the Beast of Bray Road, that's all from over in Kettle Moraine area of Wisconsin. There's a lot of Dogman reports coming out of there. Michigan, Ohio, even Illinois, there's several. I guess there's Dogman reports everywhere, really, probably. Maybe not as prolific as Bigfoot, but it's certainly something that's been claimed to be encountered pretty much everywhere. So just lesser known in a lot of other areas, I would say. Rachel says, I think like some special humans, there's bound to be some, and then it went off the screen. There's bound to be some with extraordinary abilities or something that appears to be Bigfoot, but is the other. Well, that's another good point, yeah. What if it's not actually Bigfoot? Mike Prine says portal control. What if it's not actually Bigfoot, but just appears like Bigfoot because that's its idea of hiding? Maybe it's something else. Maybe it can just look like Bigfoot. Just saying. All right, a listener writes, I've been a listener for quite a while and finally decided to write down my experiences. The first happened in the mid-70s and the second in the late 90s. I've also had a few odd paranormal-ish experiences, but not sure if they are relevant. I don't know the exact year of my first experience, but it was in the mid-70s, so I'd guess I was between 5 and 8 years old. I grew up in east central Wisconsin near the shores of Lake Michigan, roughly halfway between Green Bay and Milwaukee, in a rural area that largely forms farmland, but with single-family homes scattered here and there. Often separated by fields and other small tracts of woodland, my parents and I are going on a road trip, and they'd risen well before dawn, before the first hint of dusk was in the sky. In the pitch black, they had gotten me out of bed and put me in my sleeping bag in the back of our station wagon, which was parked in the driveway outside of our garage. I'll point out that this was unusual and was actually the only occasion they'd ever done that. Our trips usually involve camping, which meant packing a bunch of gear into the back of the car, but this time There was no room for me to stretch out. There was room for me to stretch out and sleep. My assumption is that the trip was probably to visit our relatives in Wyoming, which meant 2 full days of driving. Being moved from bed to car had woken me up, of course, but I was quickly getting comfortable in my sleeping bag. The garage was still open and lit by a single ceiling bulb, and my dad had left the car dome light on for me, but neither provided significant illumination. I heard my dad go back inside, shutting the door loudly in his usual manner. And I was just getting comfortable and beginning to nod off when I was startled, fully awake again, by what sounded like tap, tap, tap of a fingernail on a car window. Well, several thoughts shot through my mind in quick succession. The first was, I thought Dad went inside. Well, I decided he must have come out again, but what did he want? And why would he tap on the window? Well, lastly, I realized I hadn't heard the house door slamming shut, and that puzzled me the most. I've been lying on my left side, head toward the front of the car, and the tapping had come from behind me on the driver's side. Well, I slowly rolled over halfway and turned my head to look where the sound had come from. And there was some interior reflection on the window from the dome light, but I could see there was something outside the car. Well, I stared at the window trying to figure out what I was seeing, and then realized that there was a face looking back at me. Not my own reflection, but something outside. This was not a human face. It seemed to be something like an evil-looking wolf or dog, with tall pointed ears and a long muzzle. It was motionless, but its eyes were fixed on me, staring intently from beyond the glass, with its mouth just slightly ajar. Well, a wave of fear swept over me. It was motionless, which made me question what I was seeing, and I wondered if the dim light was tricking my eyes with some sort of reflection. Despite my rising fear and my confusion, I squinted my eyes trying to figure out if this was just some sort of odd illusion. As if reacting to my squint, the creature jerked its jaw open a bit wider, menacingly showing a bit more teeth. Well, I was convinced. Not an illusion. In my terror, I spun around, throwing the sleeping bag flap over my head to hide from the sight of the horrible thing. What happened next I can't explain. Maybe this type of experience just makes a child's brain shut down, because despite my terror, I must have somehow fallen asleep while hiding in my sleeping bag. The next thing I knew, I was woken up by the sound of the car's back hatch opening, and suddenly I remembered the monster, and I threw the sleeping bag flap from my face in a fight or flight moment, preparing to scramble for my life over the front seats. But to my relief, it was just my dad loading luggage into the car. And in a minute or two, we were on the road. As frightening as the experience was, I never said anything about it to either of my parents or anyone else. Not until only very recently. I'm not certain why not, but I guess because I had no explanation for what I had seen, and it had been so incredibly strange and terrifying. I probably doubted anyone would have even begun to believe me. If I had to put a name to what I saw, I'd simply call it a werewolf. Whether or not it was an actual shapeshifter, I only saw its face. But the head gave me the impression of an upright body, and it was clearly intelligent and purposeful because it actually tapped on the window to get my attention. My second experience happened in August of 1997. While visiting a college friend at his parents' house south of Grand Rapids, Michigan. We both enjoyed the outdoors, camping, hiking, foraging, and the like, and since we had several days' worth of time, we decided to go camping. We were able to find a campground at a location called Ely Lake. To the southwest is his parents' place, and headed there for one overnight. It had been very dry that August, so when I set up my tent, I didn't bother putting the rainfly on it. We lit a campfire and stayed up relatively late, which was normal for us, and finally hit the sack around probably 11:30 or midnight. I'm not sure how long I was asleep, but at some point I woke up. I'm guessing probably 1:30 to 2 a.m.-ish. And since there was no rain fly obstructing my view, I decided to check if I could see any stars. Well, as I lay there looking up the sky off to the south of us, I heard a long, deep, wailing cry, quite far away, but incredibly powerful for that distance. The sound had apparently traveled. The first words that went through my mind were, "What the hell is that?" I lay still and just listened. And the call was repeated another 4 or 5 times at intervals of maybe 15 to 20 seconds or so. While listening, I racked my brain trying to identify this beast. I guess I'd say I have a moderate knowledge of the outdoors and wildlife. I'm no novice in the woods, but I'm not an expert either. Growing up, I'd taken up camping every year, had canoed the boundary waters in Minnesota, and had gone grouse hunting each autumn with my dad. What I was hearing didn't fit any of those categories I had. I'd also grown up across the road from a dairy farm. I'd hear cows bellow many times, and I was sure whatever this was at least that large, and maybe even bigger. So I knew it wasn't a cow, and I didn't think elk or moose made that kind of noise. And anyway, this is Southwest Michigan, not the Upper Peninsula. Well, after several cries, I didn't hear it anymore, which was fine with me. I realized that whatever it was, it had to have been huge, and I was glad that it got no closer than it had been. I fell back asleep, and by morning wasn't thinking about it anymore, so I never even mentioned it to my friend, and it wasn't until a couple years later that I became interested in the Sasquatch phenomena and pursuing audio files online, probably on the BFRO website. I came across the recording of the Ohio Howl. When I played it, I was stopped cold because it was almost exactly what I'd heard that night in Michigan. I was speechless, realizing that I'd actually probably just heard a Sasquatch myself. Yikes. Yike-a-ronies, man. What do you make of that? Those bellows, I don't know, that comes up so often. The intensity and power behind their vocalizations is just nothing short of incredible. I mean, people talk about them being a mile or so away, and yet they can still feel the intensity of those vocalizations. I don't know. I've never heard that. But again, they're so much bigger than us, and with so much, probably a lot more lung capacity, so and strength, obviously. So I'm sure they can get plenty loud. It's surprising how loud a person can be. And I'm not just talking about like a woman screaming. I'm talking about when a man really yells, like when you're yelling for your dog and you're kind of getting pissed. It's like, get over here. It's like, whoo. It just kind of hits with an authority, with a power. But this is so much bigger than that, so much bigger. But I don't know. I'm glad they didn't have to deal with the visual of it, but what do they do? Why do they vocalize? I didn't really catch the time of year, though. I often wonder about, is that some sort of situation that comes up with mating, or maybe territorial challenges? Like whistling for an elk or something like that. How you can piss off an elk if you do a elk call, and there's a big bull male around. He's going to come looking for you. And maybe it's similar with these Sasquatch yells. Like that's their way of, this is mine. And someone else goes, no, it's not. That's what they said about Mama Cass at Woodstock, Brent. Yeah. Well, she had an incredible voice. Yeah. She sure did. But yeah, I don't know. Those are two good examples. Again, they're not. The tapping on the window is creepy as hell, though. And that's so typical for a dog man. Like, I don't want to say typical, like I'm sounding like I know all about them, but they seem to relish getting close and freaking people out. Just these real over the top displays of, I could eat you right now. I could eat you. I could just kill you in a heartbeat. And there won't be a damn thing you could do about it. You know, they just do that. They just are happy to see people basically poop themselves, you know. And I don't know if is that the hold your beer moment for a dog man. Like, watch this, you know. And the other ones are in hiding and they watch, and then it happens. Sorry, I had a sneeze. But you know, you just don't know. I don't know what the vocalizations are for, but the power of them is no doubt. Like, that's the one thing. Can they feed on human fear? I don't know. It depends on what they are. Like, are they a physical? Are they spiritual? Are they something in between? And I don't know. I guess if they were somewhat spiritual or, you know, potentially interdimensional, maybe, yeah, maybe the fear becomes like a drug. I don't know. It's clearly, you know, it wouldn't be the first practice that harvested fear, even from some dark groups in our level of reality. So I don't know. I don't know what to say. Whatever it is, it's pretty powerful though. But they love to freak people out. They love to get up close and just say, yeah, what are you going to do about it? Yeah, well, I didn't think so. I didn't think you were going to do anything. Just like that, like a thug mentality kind of, right? They just kind of get up there. Yeah, you see me? Yeah, I'm looking right at you. I could eat you. I could just as soon eat you. But I'm just going to stand here and make sure you poop yourself. And then they go. And then like the dad came out with the next luggage or whatever. The guy did say that he fell back asleep as a kid. And maybe he fainted. Maybe it was just, like he said, maybe it was just too powerful to deal with. So the only thing left was just kind of, you know, faint out of fear. And I think that's possible. If I looked up, like I've shared this before, but I'll share it again. I went on one Sasquatch expedition, and honestly, it was a terrible choice on my part. I was only going to go up there for the day part of the filming and be just a small part of this thing. But then we got up there and they built the campfire and we were just all talking like, oh, you should stay. You should stay. Here I am in shorts and a t-shirt, much like I'm dressed right now up on the mountains in Washington State. I'm like, well, maybe I could stay. Maybe. And then it got later and later. I'm like, yeah, I don't even think I could find my way out of here because we're way up in the mountains up in the Colville Reservation somewhere. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think I could leave now. So I guess I'm staying. And we, stayed up a lot later and talked and BS'd and stuff. And then it got to be like everyone's getting really like tired. And so they're all kind of tucking in. They had tents. They had sleeping bags. They had gear. And I had a car. And that was it. That was all I had. And they're like, well, you could sleep in your car. And I'm like, yeah, I guess I'm going to sleep in my car. But thing that they didn't tell me, and I should have known, but I didn't think about it, was how cold it gets up in the mountains in the nighttime, even in the dead summer. It can be 95, 100 degrees during the day, but at night it's going to get chilly. It's going to get like 60 or in the 50s, and that's a whole different kind of cold when you're just sitting there in shorts. Sorry, my eyes are bugging me. But I fell asleep finally, woke up freezing, and reached in the back of my car, looked around, and found a pair of sweatpants. And I tried to bundle into sweatpants to keep warm, but I was so tired I was able to nod off. But every time I woke up, and this is up in the mountains in the dead of night with pitch darkness all around me, I'd wake up, and the one thing I would say to myself before I opened my eyes is like, God, don't let there be a Bigfoot face looking in the window at me. God, don't let that happen. And then I'd slowly open my eyes and kind of peek around like, okay. And I was just frozen. I was so miserable. So I think that would be about the most horrible experiences, to wake up out of a dead sleep and see a face looking at you. And it's not a person face. A person face already to be creepy enough. But imagine it's, some watermelon-sized face looking at you and just glaring at you. And then if it's showing teeth, forget about it. So anyway, that's my thoughts. But I don't know. I guess we're kind of running out of time. Again, thank you all for being here and being a part of the journey. As always, it's an amazing pleasure to do these shows, and it's even a bigger pleasure to see you guys come in and have these amazing conversations around me. Thank you, T-Bone. Yep, it's almost my birthday. Maybe it is my birthday where you are. My birthday is May 1st, so it's not my birthday yet here, but I know it is other places. But thank you for all the birthday wishes. Thank you, Rachel, and I appreciate it a bunch. And, but honestly, the greatest present I've ever gotten doing this is seeing all of you guys come in and be a part of it, so thank you. If you want to get me something for my birthday, share the video out on your social media. Share it out there. That'd be a great present to get me. Let more people know what we're doing here on the Sasquatch Sasquatch. Did I say Sasquatch Chronicles? I almost took ownership of Wes's show right then. Paranormal Portal. I'm still thinking of Sasquatch and Chronicles. But yeah, just share the episodes out there if you would. That really helps me a bunch. It just gives more people an opportunity to learn about the shows, what we're doing. I would love to continue to see this grow and for more people to find and enjoy this amazing community that you guys have created around my show. So thank you all for all the love and support and kindness. Thank you for the birthday wishes. I appreciate it. Birthdays have kind of lost their mystique, but again, I'm still here, so that's a celebration, right? But I will be back on Friday night with Sheldon, so I hope you guys will return then, just wherever you're watching it now. Come back at the same time, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern, on Friday and Saturday nights, and join me then. But speaking of creepy, what's creepy, Phil? Phil says, speaking of creepy. I don't know what he's referring to. But anyway, Commodore 64. That's what I had, Snuffy. That was my first computer. Commodore 64. Used to love that thing. But anyway, that's all I got for you. So I won't be on, obviously, tomorrow. So you guys have a great Thursday. Have a great Friday, and I'll see you Friday night, and we'll dive into another 2 hours of the Paranormal Portal. So I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week. Take care of yourselves. Remember, love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out, especially nowadays. Everybody needs a little more help. So give the love, folks. Find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. I'll see you guys Friday. So I'm on Rob's show tomorrow. That's right. That is right. I'll be on Bigfoot Michigan Rob's show tomorrow at 10 a.m. So tune in and catch it. That'll be the only birthday show I'm doing. And I'm only doing it because, I'm just a kind of stand-up guy. You know what I'm saying? All right. That's it. That's all I got. I'm rolling the credits. Good night, everybody.